Okay, so welcome everybody to NYCBUG or NYCBUG Bluebeam user group meeting number 3. So this is quarter number 3. I will be having Q4 sometime in December, and I'll shoot that email out after this meeting. I am Jessica. I'm the one who sent out all the emails. I'm the Bluebeam champion for NYCBUG. So anything that comes from Bug will probably come from me. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. If you have any ideas, topics that you want to learn more about, or any questions from today's meeting, I'll also shoot out Kinjal's information if she's okay with that, and we'll have this recording available after the fact as well. Sign-in sheet, I did have a sign-in sheet at that end of the table, so before you leave, if you could just sign your name and your company, that would help me greatly. Yeah, so big thank you to KPF for hosting here for Q3. Would be great for Q4 as well if we could have them again, or if anybody else wants to host at their office, we're very welcome to go there as well. So quick introductions, if everybody could just go around the room, say who they are, what company they work for, and their title.
Start with me.
Yeah, sorry, you're right next to me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sian Pan. I work in AECOM Tishman. I'm an assistant project manager.
Hi, I'm Freddie Hernandez Tishman, structural PM at the Waldorf Astoria project.
Hi, I'm Shirley Chavez, and I work in the Waldorf as well for AECOM Tishman, and I'm document control.
I'm Becca Osborne. I'm an estimator for ABS Sheet Metal. I'm out of Philadelphia.
I'm Ozio. I'm a project manager for Barame Construction.
Stevie Chung, with City Financial Services, and I am working in the corporate communications presentation. Rebrand.
In Microsoft Resources, I focus on Bluebeam as a software reseller.
Albert Wu, Design Application Manager, KPF.
Clara.
I'm Steve Gonzalez. I'm with Bluebeam. I'm an account manager.
Molly Weber, technical account manager for Bluebeam. My name is Clara. I work for Via Technique. Now I'm project manager.
Grady Shutt. I work with Via Technique as well. I'm a project engineer.
I'm Rachel Cleaver. I also work with Via Technique, project manager.
Vel Tretkov, work at Skanska, VDC manager.
Mike Boland, also work at Skanska as a field engineer.
Scott Carncross, I work at Shop Architects. I'm an associate.
I'm Colin. I work at Workshop APD, and I'm an architect.
So then, is anybody here for the first time for NYCBUG? Ooh, okay. just to make sure. So what NYCBUG is and what Bug user groups are, Bluebeam user groups, what we do is we talk about best practices for Bluebeam, any tips and tricks that would be useful for what you do in your industry and your field, which may vary from project to project or from title to title. So we do try to cover as much as we can so that everybody gets a little bit of information on what you can do to move what you do forward in your day-to-day life. So like I said, I'm Jessica. I'm a project engineer for Skanska, soon to be an assistant superintendent working on one of the EDC downtown Brooklyn cultural jobs. It's an interior fit out in downtown Brooklyn. We also have Ethan, who is not here today, who's the Director of Enterprise Solutions for Meadows. Thank you again to our hosts, KPF and Albert, for kindly letting us use their space for today's meeting. And I will turn it over to Kinjal, who can introduce herself. And Kinjal, if you want to start sharing your screen, you could do that too.
Sure, thank you. Let's see. I think it's you have to stop sharing in order for me to start. Okay.
There we go.
There we go. Does that work?
Yes, that should work. Let me show you. Okay, how's that?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again for everyone for having me at NYCBUG. This is pretty exciting to do this virtually and see how it plays out. I know virtual presentations aren't always the most fun, so hopefully we'll try and keep it active and you get to learn something. So I'm Kinjal Ajmera. I'll go into that here. Let me see. So I'm Kinjal Ajmera. I've been in California for about 15 years now, originally from India, and at HNTB I've been here almost 5 years now. And I kind of transitioned from just a regular production staff member to the BIM side and design technology. So my main projects right now are the Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, which you'll hear a little bit more about, and the automated people mover for LAX. These are some of those things I've worked on, mainly stadiums, airports, and transit, because those are the main sectors that HNTB works on. A little bit about HNTB, if you've never heard of us, and it'll kind of give you an idea of why I worked on the dashboard the way I did, knowing a little bit more about HNTB. So HNTB is a very large company, architectural and engineering. For architecture, it's a smaller department, and we have 4 offices: LA, Kansas City, Dallas, and Denver. And engineering is a much bigger, pretty much represented in every state. We actually have an office in New York, just about, I think, 10 minutes from KPF. So, yeah, you might have heard of us. Some of the projects, as I mentioned, we work on sports, aviation, and transit mainly. So if you think about like the Raiders Stadium, like I mentioned, or the 49ers Stadium in NorCal, United Terminal at LAX, the Denver International Airport, the Greater Orlando Airport, and then for transit, like I said, the People Mover for LAX, which is a brand new project, and the Crenshaw line, which is currently being built right now. So as you can kind of gather, we work on quite a large project, and listening to the intros, I'm sure a lot of you do as well, which comes with complexity and schedule challenges on its own. So one of the things that I kept running into in the past was HNTB has a very rigorous folder structure, and to an extent, because of these projects, it helps to keep things organized. But in other manner, it just makes it very difficult to find the documents that you're really looking for. So, for example, if you think about, let's say it's Friday or even Thursday, like today, and you submitted something, and then comes Monday and someone's asking, hey, do you remember if so-and-so got included in the sheet, whatever, A400? You go, well, obviously no one remembers what they did 2 days past the weekend for sure. So you start looking in your folders, and so here's ours, right? We have our main Raiders Stadium project. So you go to docs, and then you go, okay, it was for QC, so let me look in QC. Okay, QC record. Then, okay, so then I have all these lists of all these different submittals I've had. Let me find the one that that is appropriate one for what the question is about. So, okay, I finally found it all the way at the end, all the way at the bottom right here. All right, so, and then, mind you, I'm still not in the PDF that I've been looking for. So here's another couple of folders I have to go through, and then again, another couple more. And then finally, okay, it's gonna be in here, individual sheets folder. So you can see I've literally just went through like 7 or 8 folders. And by the time I even got to the PDF folder, I don't know what sheet I'm looking for. I forgot what the email even asked for. So now I'm going back, trying to remember what the question was or what sheet I'm looking for, and then coming back to this. So it's a lot of inefficiency trying to dig through all these folders and just maneuver around it or trying to remember where things are. So previously, what would happen, which I'm sure all of you have used too, is the quick access bar, right? Your folder, your Windows Explorer, you can start pinning things. But as you can see in this screenshot, at some point, even that gets a little blurry because you can only pin so many things before it just gets out of control and you still can't find anything. Other methods, I've seen Excel files or Word documents with all these hyperlinks, similar to this screenshot right here. But again, you can never find things quickly the way you need to. And this list just gets longer and longer, hard to keep up with it and manage it. And then of course there's the emails. You know, you join a project and you get email with 10 links telling you all these different locations that are important for the project. And then there's the handwritten, which hopefully we never have to do, but sometimes you have to. So not this past XCon, but the one before in Austin was my first time going to the conference, and I took a couple of classes on dashboards, and it seemed kind of interesting. You know, dashboards are pretty up and coming right now. There's dashboards for every single software you can think of. It provides a lot of data that can be useful for, especially for people managing projects like PMs or BIM managers or VDC managers, all kinds of people. So took those classes, and then I decided to give it a shot to try and implement it after I came back from the conference. So I'll kind of go through this. I'll just pull up the actual dashboard itself. So here it is. I assume you guys can all see this okay, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is the dashboard that I created for the Raiders Stadium, and you know, thought, okay, let me try this out, see how the team reacts, if they find it useful, easy to use, and so on and so forth. And so far, I've gotten very positive reviews. As you can see right now, it's open by one of my team members, so I had to open a copy of it. But it's every day I've seen the team use it, so pretty happy with it. But I'll kind of go through this dashboard and then we'll go from there. So one, I wanted to make this a very easy to use, because last thing you want is something like that Word doc or Excel file where all the links are just all over the place, and once it's hard to read, no one's going to use it. So as you can see, I kind of broke this down into 4 parts, and this all will vary based on what your project needs are, what stage of the project you're in. So for Raiders, because I made this during construction documents / CA, because we're design build, it made sense to lay it out the way I did. So I had the deliverables, contracts, construction, and resources. So deliverables, you know, we have multiple packages, and more projects these days will have this. So I kind of just have a regular folder where all the deliverables are, and then the breakdown of some of the main packages, and then similar with specs. So it's pretty straightforward. You'll notice some of these will open actual folders, like this one, for example. It'll open up a folder for me, while other links will open the PDF directly itself, like this one. So I like that about dashboard, Bluebeam dashboard, is that you can kind of, you know, put a link to many things. including things outside of the server. So for example, right here, I have a link to the to a OneNote file that our team has. So I also have, you know, website URLs or the weather. You can put in pretty much a lot of different links as long as the receiving source has a link to share. So contracts, I mean, this I found to be very important because some of these documents are often the least used documents on our project. However, they're some of the most important documents. So the hope was that, you know, if it's here, if it's easy to find, that people will reference it when scope is in question or you know, there's something not clear, like the BIM execution plan. Construction, like I said, so many different resources, you know, anything from how to create sketches for RFIs to the RFI list itself, our addendum schedules, name it. You can, and then of course you can keep adding to this as needed. And then resources, I just have miscellaneous things. You know, I provide any kind of trainings I provide or any marketing material, things like that we have here. So I'll go through a little bit about how little tips and tricks that I learned along the way when creating this dashboard. So let's see here. So this right here, the dashboard icons you see, this I actually got from the Bluebeam conference, the class I took. So I'm happy to share this if anybody's interested, but this kind of makes it easier and, you know, a little more graphics and less words when you're using dashboards. And then the rest is literally just text and hyperlinks. So in Bluebeam, there are two ways. Let me try and move this out of the way. I'll save it. All right, well, there are two ways to create these hyperlinks. You'll notice, so the way I learned that's better is if you make an actual text box first, right? Here we go. If you make a text box itself first, and then use the right click and do edit action, this will pop up this window. And here you can, you know, if you want to jump to a certain page within a PDF or even this PDF itself, you can do all that here. If you wanted a hyperlink, which is what I've mainly used for dashboards, and you might too, or I mean hyperlink and open, these are the two main ones that I've used. So here you can select whether you want to open a file or a folder. And so once you pick, you know, it makes it very easy to just browse to that folder and then select, you know, whatever sheet. Let's say I pick this one. And then it'll create that hyperlink. There, and then you'll see this little lightning symbol. That means this has hyperlink now. And then once I flatten the file, that symbol will go away and it just becomes a clickable link. So if I open I'll open my, this is my working version of that same file. So you can see all these symbols. So these are all just signs of hyperlinks, and I haven't flattened this file. That way I can manipulate it as I need it. So going back here. And the reason I say there's two ways to do this, so this is one and where it's done that way. The other way is doing actual hyperlink itself. But the reason I find that is because in this, when you draw the rectangle, here, I'm going to pick another text file. So when you do this, what it just did is create this just a blue empty rectangle, which I don't want, because now what this means is I have to put another piece of text on top of it, and it kind of makes it very difficult to manage when you have two things laying on top of each other and they need to move around together. So that's why I say actually making the graphic you want, whether it's a text or graphic, whatever it is, make that first, and then right click to and edit action to get the path you want. So let me do that. Yeah. Okay. So literally, like I said, dashboards are very simple in Bluebeam, which is a good thing. Once you figure out what kind of layout you want and how you want to break down your dashboards, what kind of things you want to include in here, the rest is pretty easy. It's just doing this, making the graphic, and then editing action to take you to the whatever files you need to go to. So, and then what I saw, some of the cool examples I've seen at Bluebeam conferences and with other users too, is some of these are multi-pages. So for example, drawings would actually, in some examples, would take you to another page within this same dashboard that has all the drawing numbers listed. Then you can just click on a sheet and it would just open up that sheet, which could be very helpful. But I think, again, depending on what stage of the project you are in and how big of a project you have to evaluate whether that's worth the effort and how efficient that is. Other things I've seen, because dashboards can get pretty intense with JavaScript. So if you know how to code, you can start adding actual buttons, not just like these flattened graphics. You can have actual buttons for returning to home or things like that. The other thing that I originally wanted to do was having a 3D PDF embedded into this dashboard. So when someone opens this dashboard up, they immediately have an idea of what the project looks like, and they're able to spin it around before they even start looking at any documents. There were multiple reasons why I didn't do that for this particular project, but it's definitely something I'm interested in. And the reason I say that, let me jump back in here. The reason I say that is because when you think about dashboards, this is just a small little example, but when you think about an office or a company overall picture, I can see us having, a different dashboard for each sports, aviation, and transit projects. And the amount of resources that would bring for us would be incredible. So when you start a new project, for example, you can easily have this sports dashboard to refer to and all the drawings and details and contracts that go with it. So when someone comes new to the team, you can easily have them oriented within a few minutes. This happened to me pretty recently, actually, when somebody interested in sports in our office was asking, oh, can I get a link to where the drawings are and where renderings are for the Raiders? I go, you know what, better yet, I'll just give you this dashboard. You can find whatever you need and then let me know if you have questions, then done. So being able to do that for new employees or new, even just people joining the project, it would be very efficient. And then the other one is onboarding new hires. Every company trains their employees differently, but some of the stuff is very common, like, how to print, how to do time cards, how to do expense reports, things like that. You can very easily also have dashboards for. So I can't see you guys, but how many people in the room have used dashboards? And then Jessica will be my facilitator here.
That is 3 people.
3 people, okay. And what about 3D PDFs?
Anybody know about 3D PDFs? That would be another 4, 5, 6, 6 including me, 6 people.
Nice. Okay, great. Thanks. So yeah, I mean, I know I kind of went through this somewhat quickly, but like I said, it's very simple. I think the hardest part for me was laying this out. You know, I tried a few different layouts just to see what would read easy, and this is where I landed. But I would definitely like to do more with this now that I know that people do use it and they find it useful. So maybe there will be an update in another few months or so. But any questions on this before I move on to 3D PDF? Or we can keep all the questions at the end. I'm okay with either one.
So we'd be covering 3D PDFs next. So if you have a question about dashboards, feel free to ask them now. So Lisa has a question. She said,
Sure.
How do you lock a link with a graphic? I've struggled with this in review 2018.
Blocking a graphic with text, is that what you said?
So Lisa, if I'm interpreting your question correctly, do you mean if you're moving the button, the hyperlink will stay with it? Is that what you mean, Lisa?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So in review 2018, when I go to edit action, I can't really see anything that lets me lock the hyperlink to like the button I've just made.
Oh, interesting. So, okay, for example, so if you look at this, this is my text, right? It just says BIM execution plan. When I move this, the hyperlink easily moves with it. The way it wouldn't move was the other method where if you were to go to hyperlink and draw that first, right? If you draw that rectangle first and then you put a text on top of it, then they're two separate elements and they won't, unless you group them, they won't move together. But with this method, they will kind of stick together wherever I move it or if I edit the text, if that makes sense.
Okay. So I'll check if that might be a glitch with 2018 because I noticed you're using an earlier version.
Yeah, I'm on 2017, unfortunately, but I heard someone from Bluebeam in the audience, so maybe they would be able to answer that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
I hear giggles.
Let's see
Sure.
if Dan maybe too, or Stephen. Can you repeat the question? So the issue is that when Lisa is trying to edit the action for her button in her dashboard, when she goes to move her button somewhere else, the link doesn't follow the button. But apparently, it works fine in 2017.
The action item is associated with the markup, so it seems strange that it wouldn't follow along.
We'll look into it, Lisa.
Okay, yeah, I also don't see the lightning symbol, so there's definitely some differences, but I'll follow up after the meeting on that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be good. I did, for my the last presentation I did for the Los Angeles Bluebeam user group using this, I did have 2018 trial version, and it seemed to work there okay for me. But again, that was a trial and it expired, so not sure how it is now. I do have a couple of tips and tricks on this that I will review at the very end, because they kind of, all the tips kind of go hand in hand, whether you're doing 3D PDFs or dashboards, so I'll do that. But any other questions?
Nope.
Awesome. Okay, so moving on to 3D PDFs, I'm mainly going to, I'm going to go back here. Okay, so 3D PDF, I've heard this multiple times from Bluebeam team themselves, and I completely agree, is one of the most powerful features that Bluebeam has, but it's actually one of the most underutilized features for Bluebeam. So hopefully this will get you at least playing around in 3D PDFs and try and use it for presentation or coordination and stuff like that. So before I even start, I'll flip through a few of these. So just different ways you can do 3D PDFs. So here, for example, I have 3D PDF embedded within a 2D page, I guess, 2D PDF. So right here, if I do this, you'll see these blue outlines you see, those are my embedded 3D PDF areas. So this is what I was referring to with the dashboard, that I wanted to embed something like this for each project into the dashboard itself. Exit that. Uh-oh. Okay, there you go. Okay. The other thing is you can do is, use it for actual components. So whether it's a locker room or a concession space or any one area that you can think of for coordination purposes, and I'll go through all of that in a second. Or you can, do actual larger spaces, like this one is it's a locker room for the Oregon State University, their North End Zone. So just different ways that you can utilize it. It doesn't have to be the whole. One of the things that I think everyone tries to do, including myself, is try and export the entire project into one 3D PDF. And then when it doesn't, it does have certain limitations, I would say. Like, one of the reasons I didn't end up doing the Stadium 3D PDF in dashboard is because it's too much data for it to handle, so it won't export, it'll just crash on you. But what I've come to realize and appreciate is that 3D PDFs are really meant for, coordinating or presenting certain areas, so you can just break them down into chunks rather than trying to have the entire PDF in one little area, and then you have to maneuver around everything to get to where you want anyway. So I'd rather have it much like this, where you're just exporting areas separately. So I'll use this one as an example. So the way you export 3D PDFs, if you don't know, so the Bluebeam plugin that you can enable for Revit, right? If you go to the administrator, under Help Administrator tab, you can enable the plugin for your Revit, and you'll get these three options. So one of them, which I'm sure everyone has looked at but might have not clicked on it, is the 3D PDF button. So, when you pull it down, it has the settings, which are pretty straightforward. It's just whether you want to bring in certain views from the model, what kind of lighting and that kind of stuff, what page size, right here, what kind of graphic detail you want, what kind of lighting, whether you want to do the section box, polylines, link models, etc. But I've so far I've always kind of kept to the default because it's pretty straightforward. And then right here you'll notice there's a create a 3D PDF and create U3D. So 3D PDF is what you see here, these individual ones, that the entire PDF is just 3D, which is this locker one and this locker here. These are just 3D PDFs. This U3D, create U3D, that's a different file type, and when you want to embed 3D PDF into regular 2D pages, that's where you want the 3D PDF. So, or that's where you want the U3D file type, because you can't embed actual 3D PDFs into 2D unless you have a U3D file, if that makes sense. So in case you're curious, that's what the difference is. It's depending on how you want to use those, would decide how to export these. So, okay, so I have these 3D PDFs, and some of the stuff, right? Like the reason I think this one is a great example is you can never bring up Revit models to your clients, right? Well, you can, but most companies would be hesitant to do that because it's a work in progress. But this, for example, it's so easy to maneuver. You can, cut sections as quickly as you want. So if you want to, cut this section, cut just the plan of it, you want to see what it looks like, you can do that. You can rotate it around, start counting how many lockers, or how is this corner going to work, or are these benches too small, or, even the colors, because this does bring in the material properties from Revit. So you can start, coordinating all of this with your client right on the spot. Other one is the section box, right? If you want to start looking at this in section, you would cut this and then start looking at, okay, how does the ceiling work with this space, scale of it, things like that. Now, the cool thing about this is, I'll jump to this. So this locker room, like I said, you can export a whole area or just one specific element. So in this particular example, I used both the locker room and actual locker itself. So if I jump to this locker PDF, you can on the spot start making comments. So for example, all these blue dots you see are markups, right? So you're with your client, or you're with your sitting down with your designer. They're like, okay, I want to see the rendering. I want to see the helmets here, so I know what it would look like when it's done. So when you click on that blue, you can see it right away. And the great thing about this is, let's say you have a production staff member that doesn't know where this locker room is in a whole stadium. You can easily, double click on one of these items, and if you pull up your bottom bar here, there's usually it defaults to the markups, but right here there's a 3D model tree. And if you go in here, it's like a whole world unlocked. So right here, if I scroll, you can see all kinds of Revit properties of this element, including ID number, which, that alone for me is like key, because now I can go through Revit, know, so let me go ahead and do this. 8%, maybe not very good at, no, this is a different model. Okay, so besides the point, you can easily take these IDs, right? And now your production team member can put in that ID, go straight to that locker and start showing those helmets, and then they're done. Like, it's just boom, boom, boom. Like, there is no, oh, let me find where this locker room is. Oh, let me see which locker room they were talking about, this and that. There's none of that. Again, something like this, remove shelves, same thing. You find this, what these elements are called. Oops. Yeah, you find what these elements are called. You can even get your name. You can start getting the for certain things, you can start getting your areas and volume, and a lot of contractors and GCs will start using this to do their quantity takeoff and cost estimates, which is very powerful also. And then, yeah, so these are just some examples that I marked up. This is not an actual coordination session. So, and you'll notice one thing is, if I pull this down and go to default, this is the actual locker. Now, you can start saving all these views. So when you make a markup, for example, so right now, if I were to, let's say I hide this panel because it's kind of in my way for what I'm trying. Let me see. Step 1 extrusion. Let's say I start hiding this door. there's this visible column. So when I hide this, and then, okay, I see the rod behind it, and I want to make a comment on it. So let's say I cloud it, and then I cancel it. So now you just see I just added another symbol. But the cool thing is it remembers your visibility settings. So the fact that I hit that door in order to see what's behind, it remembers that. If I go back to default, you'll see that door comes back. So you can start saving views that save your visibility settings. So if you if you decide, oh, I actually want this to be a different color, I don't like it to be orange, I want it to be black, and then right here there's an add button, add 3D view. So you can name this view, right? Let's see, black accent color. When you save this, it's going to remember that setting. So again, if I go back to, oh, it's because I overrid it. My bad. Okay. Yeah, the point being, so when you start adding views here, it starts saving your visibility overrides that you've done, whether it's a cross section or section box, or if you change it to certain things to transparent and so on and so forth. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, and then let me show you the size. Question often is, how big are these files, right? When it comes to 3D content, the industry is known to have crazy sizes, file sizes. So here you can see this locker one, considering it's a very small element, but still it's less than a megabyte. If you look at the PDFs I have embedded, those are still less than a megabyte. So you can easily even email these files. They do get larger as you export larger and larger areas and more elements. But I think they're still much more manageable than trying to navigate in a 3D Revit model in front of your client or designer when they're trying to have you go quickly. So let me go back here. And this is another use for it is, so this is going to be a very subtle, so I'm going to zoom in here. So something very simple, but without 3D PDFs, it would have been very difficult to kind of show the client. So right here, you can see we were considering whether this was going to have operable walls that kind of stack up on the side, and how the space would look with open and closed. So here we just exported 3D PDFs with both options, and then just put them on top of each other so you can easily compare. Start taking a look at, okay, how much space does this stacking take up in the room? Oops. Yeah, white space. Okay. Yeah, you can start comparing. So when you have design options or alternates that you're considering, I found 3D PDF very useful also. Right here you can get a gauge on, okay, well, these mullions are going to start blocking the view or provide shadows or affect the lighting, and just many factors. Like I said, this is a pretty subtle example, but some of the other things that we could use them for is just seats. Often we consider, okay, do you want wider seats or narrower seats, or how many of them, or how many drink rails do you want, 1 or 2, how many views does it block, all kinds of things. So that's what I found this embedding useful for in a 2D PDF, along with, imagine you have this embedded into your 20 slides for the client. That it's not only that it's efficient and useful and good use of time, it's that you're bringing something to the table that everyone can easily understand and maneuver around. This is literally, I'm not clicking anything on my keyboard. I'm just left click and move my mouse. That's it. And anyone can get used to this. So, and then this model tree especially, is just incredible. So if I collapse all these, you'll see that this has basically all those Revit model categories. So you can start, controlling all the walls. So if I say walls and then isolate them, you can see just the walls. So now, all of a sudden, you can start taking a look at, okay, well, how many square area, what's the area of all these walls, or certain types of walls, right? It categorizes them just like Revit does into different types. So you can isolate even certain types, try and figure out where all of these walls are, especially on site or for construction. This saves all my millions, I would say. So I hope your mind is blown if you haven't seen all this. Any questions on these?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you need?
Sure.
You have to start with Revit to create this, right? You
No.
can't. I'm asking. You can create it from Bluebeam.
You could create it from any offering tool.
Okay.
You create it from Rhino?
Yes.
Right.
Is there like a plugin for that, or is it like a certain export? Does it take like DWGs, or how does it take it from other files? Because you showed that plugin on Revit, which seems like it's really easy to make 3D PDFs. How would you do it from another program?
It's very easy. Go to File, Print, and you usually have a Print 3D option.
Yeah, a lot of the file types are the U3D or an IFC file type that you can often convert into a 3D PDF.
Right.
So look out for those two file types as an export option.
If you're looking for a plugin, there is also the plugin called SimLab 3D PDF, which basically works for Revit, works for Rhino, works for CAD, and SolidWorks, all the 3D engines.
What's that?
SimLab, SIMLAB.
I'm guessing Tekla works too, right? For Steve?
Yes.
Cool.
SketchUp too. If you use SketchUp.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I brought up this Bluebeam administrator window too, to give you a sense of the software that the plugins are available for. Consider this is just based on what I have installed on my machine. So I don't have, Tekla, for example. So I'm not sure if it's compatible, but like somebody was saying, you can install that other plugin and other printer and start just printing from there also.
I'm guessing because you didn't show it, but is there any way to sync those two views? Like, you can like sync a PDF and it's showing the same spot on both pages. Yeah.
In that case, I would do two separate ones, and then use the regular sync. Yeah. So for example,
if you do the sync, it would be rotating and zooming at the same position.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I had another copy of this, for example, and then keep them, if I had another, so instead of embedding both in one PDF, I would just do one per PDF, and then that way you can split the windows side by side and have the sync option.
Okay.
That's a good point, though. Maybe someone in the audience can mention. I don't know if I rotate in one, if it will rotate the other one.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Probably not. The other features I was I asked Bluebeam very early on is that number one, if we'll allow 3D PDF in Bluebeam session, that's number one. Number two is to allow follow me. Those will be the
for 3D.
Extremely useful features if we have it available.
So it also doesn't work in session right now?
3D PDF, well, at least from what I remember, it doesn't really work in session. So can you
It doesn't work in session? Or it does?
No, 3D PDF, well, we could try it, but from what I remember, it doesn't work in session previously. So the scenario, what we have come up is that, imagine you're doing a design in New York and you work with an engineer in Asia, and both of you sign into the same studio session. With the features follow me available, how incredible that would be.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah. That would be amazing. Let's see here. So I can put 3D PDF in session. So there you go, halfway there. Okay, now who wants to volunteer to join this session?
Okay, great.
Okay, let me add you. We're gonna try this out. Oh, what? Sorry, wrong button.
Do you have the studio ID?
It's on the HNTB server, so you have to. This was my bad. Hold on. I'm gonna go to the regulars because you'll have to make an account and all this stuff. So there you go.
Oh, I remember now. It's on the review iPad.
Oh, yeah, I agree. That should be an iPad feature.
It's on the iPad, not the standard.
Yeah, you currently cannot use 3D PDFs on an iPad.
Yes.
That is a request for me too. Right.
Yes, and me. Okay, Jessica, you can join this one.
Where am I looking?
Oh, 032.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you're in there. So let me open this. So you want to try following me? Can you see the stuff I'm doing if you follow me?
Nope, not at all.
I don't think you're following me though. Hold on. Let me follow you. Oh, sorry. Oh, there you go. You were following me just now. Okay, I'm following you and I see it. And so everyone that can see my screen. So there you go. Go ahead and call your colleagues in Asia or anywhere. This is awesome.
Well, that's yes, we could repeat this on iPad.
Yeah, the iPad feature would be nice.
Yeah, that's the next step. Cool. Okay, well, I'm glad. I had never done this either, so thanks for the question. I'm glad we tried it out.
Do you mind sending one of your 3D PDF to me?
I will have to check on that. I should be able to, but because these are project related, I'll have to just double check. But I can like export something else too and send you that. That's not a problem.
Right.
Yeah. We can continue questions. I'll also go through these couple of tricks and things I was talking about earlier. So with both dashboards and CDPDS and even anything you do, any markup, sessions, things like that, if you've never explored the preferences, the preferences dialog box in Bluebeam, I highly encourage it. There's so many cool settings in here that you didn't think you could control, but you can. So the way you get to this, by the way, before I jump into them, is Control-K, and it'll take you to preferences. As far as where it's actually placed, it's right here. There you go. I'm sure it's different in 2018 though, since the interface kind of changed, but Control-K. So auto sizing. So you'll notice that by default, when you make text boxes, it auto sizes them in Bluebeam, which is great for usual markup, but when you create dashboards or certain things, you want to disable that because you don't want it to auto size. You want it to stay the same size so you can start aligning them horizontally, vertically, and so forth. So if you go to the markup tab, you see right here, the third option is auto size text box and call out markups. When you uncheck that, it stops auto sizing them. So I found that very useful for dashboards in particular. The other one is this web tab. So I'll show you this live. By default, when you click on links that are taking you to a URL, like a web URL, it will open up a new tab within Bluebeam, which I guess sometimes is helpful, but I personally don't prefer it because it doesn't save my passwords and things for OneNote, for example. So you can disable that. So it will take you, so this one right here, for example, live camera, this will take me directly to my default web browser, which is Google Chrome, and it will take me to the website instead of opening this as a new tab within Bluebeam. So here you go, moment of showing off, beautiful stadium going up. So that's another setting, and that's under web tab, under preferences. The other, let's see. Oh yeah, printer settings. So by default, again, Bluebeam will prompt you for a file name every time you print a PDF, and it'll also auto open. So when you're badge printing PDFs or anything like that, these are the settings I use, you know, so it doesn't ask you and it automatically names the PDF based on the sheet number if you're doing it, you know, from Revit or CAD or whatever. And it also doesn't open them so you don't end up with hundreds of files open. The other thing that I get, that I've been asked before is file paths. So when you want to open files directly and not just the folder, one thing you can do is right click on the Bluebeam tab, and then there is a copy path to that file. So what I mean by that, so if I wanted a PDF here, yeah, you can just copy path, and then now if I go to edit action and paste that, it will open this PDF directly instead of just the folder. And the other way you can do that, if, you know, for whatever reason your Bluebeam doesn't have it, or if it's not a Bluebeam file, if it's an Excel file, for example, is if you press Shift and then right click, there's a copy as path. When you right click normally, you don't see that option. When you do Shift and right click in a Windows Explorer, you get the copy as path option. So that's another way. Okay. That's, those are all, I mean, I'm sure I went through some stuff really fast, so I apologize, but I hope it wasn't too hard to follow. Any questions?
I have one. It's not related to what you presented for tips and tricks. Is there a find replace function in 2019 yet?
In 2019?
Yeah. No, like,
I actually don't know. I have to check.
yeah. That's one of the biggest things that would be awesome to have you do find replace like you do on Microsoft Office.
Yeah. That might also be a Bluebeam question, but they seem to have disappeared. Got it. Okay. Feel free to shoot that over to me. I can ask them too. Or if Dan happens to find out, then I can ask him too. Any other questions? I have actually a question, Kinjal. What is the biggest 3D PDF size that you've successfully created that hasn't crashed on you, out of curiosity?
That's a great question. I've tried multiple ways. Like for this one, for example, I started just turning off all the links or just narrowing down the section box in Revit as much as possible. I think I've seen 3D PDFs in the hundreds, 100 megabytes range. And those, I mean, when you see me click here, you do see it takes a second to load the model. So with those in the hundreds ones, it does take longer. So you do need to just open it before the meeting and then, not keep jumping around as much as I'm doing right now. But they do slow down. Yeah.
If you need to open
The one thing that, sorry?
Sorry about that. Question here in New York. If you need to open multiple instances of either the same large one or multiple 3D PDFs, can you speed things up by opening multiple instances of Review rather than just having multiple tabs within Review?
Oh, I haven't seen the sync option for Bluebeam with multiple Bluebeam instances open.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to sync across multiple instances, but just to say if you needed to have a locker open in one and then instantly you need to, change to look at the goalposts in the other. And you should have no expectation that you need to sync one view to the other.
I think it's probably related to the resource you have on your computer. Yeah.
If the graphics is only going to give.
If you had enough resource, you should be able to load it.
Kinja, I do have one just thought. I would like to see if you could send one of your test PDF to me, and I would like to just throw it in the presentation for everybody here. So I am thinking that if you could send me one of your 3D PDF, I am going to load it on my iPad and show it to everybody how it could possibly be done. So if you finish yours, so would you mind switching it back to New York so I could present in my PDF for everybody?
Sure.
Can you see my iPad?
I can, yes.
I can too, so we're good.
So the one I have two samples here. One of them is one of our projects. So when I tap on it, now you tell me how big this PDF file is. That's number one to begin with. Number two, that is really the efficiency we are talking about here. Not only that, we have multiple ways to cut sections. Number one, and number two. Now try one single application will allow you to do this except Revit as a section box. All right, well, Revit goes there. And you could really zoom in to see the details. Now once you're done, guess what? You could take up what I was trying to do. There we go. what I was trying to do is to take the screen capture. So to capture the screen, and then you will be able to do the mock-up, and then send it directly to whoever you need to.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what's the file size?
This one is, you can see it at the upper left corner.
Mhm.
2.58 megabytes. One of our largest Hudson Yard projects, which I loaded successfully, is 150 megabytes. With the entire Hudson Yard loaded. I'm really trying to get the industry to know and review, particularly Bluebeam to know, because as a designer, your workflow really doesn't, it's really not just limited to your laptop anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Especially with the increased power of your tablet. I could even do this on my phone today. There we go.
Okay, I just sent it.
You did?
Yeah.
All right. This one is yours, right?
Yep. Yep, that's it. If you rotate it the other way, you'll see.
All right, let's try the screenshot again. I can't believe the simplest things I can't do. All right, guys, that's it.
Nice.